I have a pretty slow reaction. Like I remember at Worlds. I mean, this was a prelims relay, so I was proud of it. So I didn't want to get us deked, but I would think I was like half a second on the reaction time.
Point
Yeah,
five,
so
and you were okay
yeah,
with it?
0.5. No, I wasn't okay with it. I mean, I thought it was good because it was prelims. I'm not trying to DQ like the US relay, at my first Worlds.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got the full crew: Luke Paddington, Dr. John Mullen, and joining us also in California, like I am, Dari Rose. What's going on, Dari?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. We're going to try some new things today. Audience, thanks for submitting so many questions to us on Instagram. Since we got started doing Social Kick, we've really seen a lot of audience engagement, and we're going to try to incorporate some of that more into the show. As always, before each of our shows, we'll put an opportunity up on Instagram and a poll to submit some questions that we can ask each guest. Thanks for doing that. And make sure you give us a follow at Social Kick Swim, and that's where you'll see all of the question prompts come about. And with that in mind, we'll start off with a few audience questions today. Dare, Aiden Biddle 12 wants to know the very important question: is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh. I'd say I very much think so. So you have meat in the middle, two pieces of bread. I consider that a sandwich. I know most people don't.
Is a pita a sandwich too then? What about a taco?
Ooh, that's tough. Well, I guess what I say about a taco would make the hot dog not be a sandwich. So I said it's like connected, and so that means it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be two separate pieces of bread. So I guess a hot dog isn't a sandwich either.
Okay, we've reversed it. A hot dog, not a sandwich. Okay, this one's from Madeline Smathers. Who is the funniest person on the Cal team?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd honestly say Coach Dirds. He's a pretty funny guy. He's always cracking jokes on pool deck, making us laugh. On the actual team though, it's kind of a hard one. I think we have a lot of funny guys. I'd probably say, Jack Alexi. How about that?
Oh, okay.
Jack Alexi. All right, the Jersey connection, and you guys are all laughter at that end. All right.
Yeah.
I like that. Good to know. Look forward to chatting some with Jack. Okay, this one's from _door_DZDZ. How many times have you been called Dare?
Oh, more than I've been called Dare.
Wow.
Especially at swim meets too. Especially at swim meets. It's funny hearing my name over the announcements. But I understand it, it's understandable.
Yeah. I as someone who also has a difficult to pronounce last name, I've gotten lots of different versions of my last name at swim meets from announcers. And then, all right, this one is from, I hope I get your name right, Neophytos Charalambides. Sounds very Greek. This wants to know, what is your fastest 25-yard butterfly time? Let's assume that it's either from a start, maybe from the blocks from a start. How fast can you do a 25-yard butterfly?
Okay, this is a good one. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we actually had Britt Hawk come in, and we did a bunch of suited stuff off the blocks. And so I put on a suit. We were doing like 25s with a touchpad. So I was like 9-1, 9-2 from a block. So that was pretty good.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to start with a new section here, and we're going to call it a fish out of water, because that tends to be me often. We also move fish out of waters, but also when you move around a lot and you go to new environments and new circumstances and you travel a lot, it's something we all face as swimmers. So I want to dive into a section about that and bring in international flavor to this, and especially your move from the East Coast to the West Coast and etc. So first of all, let's start off the audience question. And Kemi Akinsanya asks, what's your favorite vacation spot, Dari?
Ooh, that's a good one. So after NCAA's last year, me and my whole class and some of our seniors, we went to Hawaii, which was amazing. I loved it. We were in Oahu for half the time. and it was just beautiful. I love oceans. I love the water. I love nature too, and it's a beautiful place.
Oh, dude, I agree with you fully. I named my daughter after a Nigerian word called Eze. And
Oh wow.
you have a Nigerian name as well. Do
hmm
you ever write it with an accent on the A? Like Uruba?
Never. That's actually a good
Never.
question. Never. My full name is Oludare, and
Yeah.
so I just go by Dare for short. And so I know like I have Nigerian roots. Like I talked to my grandpa about it. And
Yeah.
my name in Nigerian, it means gift from God.
That's
So I
right.
thought that was pretty special.
Yeah, I love that. No Caribbean roots, eh?
No Caribbean roots.
We'd accept Nigeria. They're good. Okay, so yeah, so you so you grew up in Jersey City and you went to school in Brooklyn Heights, right? So you took
Yes, sir.
the subway to get across there, I'm assuming, to get to school every day?
hmm
Or yeah. And now you are living in Cal across the river, the bay from a big city. What's up? Why don't you just live in the city? What's up with you living across from the city? It was
Oh, I'm
I
not
know.
sure. I mean, honestly, SF isn't my place. So I'm kind of glad I
No,
live over here in Berkeley. I think
Me
New York
neither.
City is the best
I
city
agree.
there is. SF's kind of it's okay. They have some cool stuff, but it's nothing like New York City. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
Berkeley just put me in another location, like
definitely.
across the water.
You moved to the West Coast when I moved to the East Coast from the Bay, and a lot of things I miss from the West Coast. Including the people.
Mm.
I prefer the mentality of the Cal people, like of California people, to New Yorkers. Do you agree, or do you, because it's your home and that's your people, do you still like New Yorkers?
I'd say I disagree a little bit. I'd
Yeah,
say California. I'd say what I like about the people is they're more like more chill, just more like trying to get through their day without like I don't know any worries or any I don't know any peers, if that makes sense.
yeah,
But New
yeah,
York, they're always just rushing. They're always just needing to get to the next
yeah.
place. But I kind of like it because
Mm,
I think they're more real with you, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So it's more like straightforward to get to the point. But I do miss New York. I do miss the people. I think I don't know. It was a little more fun just like traveling around. I feel like people would be just more open to talk to you just randomly, like on the street, like in the subway. Like I'd always spark up a conversation, some random person, and I don't know, it'd make my day if they said something funny.
There's the food selection is what shocked me as well. I find, I'm not talking about the city. I live in White Plains, so the south side, right? And I
hmm
find that I don't find the abundance of quality food for good price. Like in the Bay Area, you can go to Aki's, you can get an amazing organic meal for like $15. You want to get that here?
hmm
Mm-mm. You know, what were some of the biggest differences in the food selections when you go out to eat? Was it cost, flavor, the abundance of it, the variance of it? What do you think?
Um, I'd say like a little bit of everything, honestly. So I'd say like the cost, I'd say it's kind of similar here in California. I guess New York, like whenever I go back, I don't really look at the cost, but I
Yeah.
think like inflation and all that, it kind of put it up. But I'd say like New York, I actually thought it was cheaper than around Berkeley and stuff. I'm not sure
Huh.
if that's because we're in a college town and they
Yeah.
try to like ramp stuff up because they know like college kids will always buy it. But I think like the flavors are a little different. But Berkeley's a cool place. We just have restaurants from like everywhere in the world. So there's like every type of cuisine you can imagine.
Go ahead, Brian.
You're living that NIL life, talking about not thinking about the cost with food. Must be nice for a college student.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice. Now that USA Swimming has sent me my stipend, so I'm always
There
enjoying
it is. Yeah, that's right.
Man, one of the best
that.
pizza spots I know in the Bay Area is a spot that all the Cal swimmers go to. So I remember that. It's really good slices you'll get. They have the good food down there in
Mhm.
Berkeley. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, Big change though, Cal, from a fairly small club. What I mean, New York. I find coming here with my kids and swimming. Swimming is just not as big as it is in California. It's not
Mhm.
outdoors and it's not part of the culture. And it's seen as elite and it's super expensive, like $5,000 to swim at the Y. And it's very segregated almost in terms of class and cost and everything. And you come to California, it's different. What were some of the big differences between California? Cal, and I'd say your club, Scout Aquatics, you know? Yeah.
I'd say there's actually a lot of differences. So I remember at
Yeah.
club, so we used to swim indoors for most of the year. And then for long course season in the summer, we'd go outside. So we had like a municipal pool. And so
Yeah.
we'd swim in there for 3 months. But our pool, half the time, our heater was broken. So the pool temp would be like below 70 degrees. So we'd all be freezing all the time. So it's kind of a hassle, but we got through it. I think it made me who I am today, just like going through adversity, like getting through stuff. But Cal, like we have pools year round, Speaker and Legends, 250-meter pools. It's beautiful. Then we have like a whole weight room, which I didn't lift at all in high school. So that was a big change. And I just say like the environment is a lot more competitive here. So you have like everyone who is the best at what they do from
Yeah.
different cities, from different countries, and they all come together to train. So it's just crazy at practice sometimes, like seeing how fast people go and seeing how fast like I can go racing them.
It really makes you love the sport more. I mean, I'm imagining your life in high school of, having to take the subway to go across the city to end up in Brooklyn Heights, right? And then in the
Yeah.
middle of winter, and then as that's after morning practice, perhaps, and then come back and you had long days, a lot of traveling in the cold
Oh
versus
yeah.
living across the street, swimming outdoors with buddies in the sun. It's a big cultural thing. Makes you enjoy the sport more, or do you still enjoy the sport as much as you did in high school because you were just a kid having fun?
I mean, I definitely enjoy this sport more. I didn't I
Yeah,
did not enjoy it in high school. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong, but
yeah,
sometimes it was just rough. So I'd wake up like 5 a.m. I'd go swim in Jersey, and then I'd go straight from morning to get on the subway, and
yeah,
then I'd go to school the whole day, then rush back to Jersey, go to practice, and then get home at like 8, and then I still have to do homework, and then try to
yeah.
get some sleep for morning the next day. So it'd just be a grind, and so it'd get a little tiring at times. But here, it's definitely more enjoyable. I gotta say.
No, I hear you. I'm finding it hard myself to go swimming out here in New York. All right,
Mhm.
2 quick questions. Um, New York bagels or avocado toast?
Ooh, New York bagels, definitely. I miss
All
them.
right.
I'm always going to Safeway to get the 6 pack of those bagels, and it's just not as good when you can go to like a bodega, get a bacon, egg,
Yeah,
and cheese for like $4.
yeah, man. I tell you, I have to drop some money by my kid after school. He's going to the deli with his buddies, and he wants bagels.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
and then last one, and be careful of your answer. Very careful.
Hmm.
Knicks, Nets, Dubs.
Ooh, neither. I'm a huge Bucks fan.
Bucks. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, both my parents are from Wisconsin, and my whole extended family is
Ah,
from there.
but
So I'm a big Packers fan, big Bucks fan. I think. I thought I had a
good for
flag up
you.
somewhere. Yeah, yeah.
Packers.
But yeah,
Well, we
go
respect
Pack.
Giannis and Dame. Awesome. Yeah, you got good people. Good ownership.
Appreciate
Like
it.
it. All right, sick, man. All right, I'm
Hold
done.
on,
That was it.
hold on. I gotta unpack this Packers thing. So what's going on? What's going on at QB? Are you a Jordan? What the
Jordan
Rose?
Love fan?
Jordan
No,
Love.
not at all.
I got
Not at
Rose on the
all.
brain.
That's too funny. I mean, I think he was good for like the first 2 games, but I don't know. I mean, it's his first year too, so we got to see. But I think if they tank this year, they're gonna draft Caleb Williams, and that'll be a good step in the future. So we'll see.
I mean, kind of funny from a Cal guy to say you want to draft Caleb Williams, but I like it.
I know, especially after last week when they beat us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a good time to transition. I mean, we're talking about, science and rehab. We have Aaron Rodgers, who's going to make the quickest Achilles tendon recovery of all time in like 3 months, even though it takes 12 to 18 months. So, I wrote a book, Swimming Science, had a website, Swimming Science, and I'd speak at conferences and get tons of questions about training, about recovery, and be like, oh, how does this apply to my 10-year-old? So we're going to get into some science questions, but we want to keep in mind, these likely won't apply to anyone other than for you. So once again, this is going to be called science-ish. So let's get into it, okay? So we all try crazy things in training and practice, and I'm sure Jordan, especially Marsh, will probably have you guys do some weird things. What's like one of the craziest things that they've had you try that you're like, I'm a little skeptical about this, but actually ended up working or you enjoyed it?
That's a good one. Um, I'm trying to think. We've done a lot of weird stuff. So one of the practices I saw our breaststrokers doing, they had one of those huge like medicine or the yoga balls and the ones that float on the water. So I saw one of the kids like the yoga balls right here, and they're on top of it on the water, and they're doing like breaststroke kick to kind of simulate it with their hips up high. So I thought that was the craziest thing ever, but it ended up working out, like getting the hips up high, and even though they're so high and it looked a little, I don't know, sketchy, it still worked out at the end, which was a funny sight to see.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, those balls, you get them in the water, they start getting wet too. It's like it's so slippery.
Slip and slide, yeah.
Exactly. Now, there's tons of different training approaches. USRPT is probably one of the more discussed one. We talked to Cam McAvoy about how he's using so much resistance training and things like that. What's like one type of training or training style that you see people do that you're like, I wonder what it'd be like to train like that?
So I'd say like super, super high yardage. So that's what I did in high school all the time. And I thought it was very beneficial for me at a young age because like I could just grind. I didn't really need much rest. Like my body recovered fast. But it's kind of interesting seeing people do that, especially when they're not like distance swimmers, when they're doing that every day. It's like I do like 4K, 5K, and my body's just wrecked. And I'm like, I need some recovery. Like, I don't know if I can do any more yardage. So it's kind of interesting seeing that.
Nice. Now, another audience question from our favorite Madeline Smathers. What's the hardest set you've done at Cal?
Ooh, so we've had a lot. We do every Tuesday in the fall and spring. They're called test sets. It's basically like a set where you do reps over and over again, and it simulates a race. And so you just have to hang on towards the end. And so recently we did 6 200s off the block, just all out. So I did fly free, and it was unsuited. So we just had to kind of send it as much as we could at the start and just see how much we could hang on at the end. So that was definitely not the most fun when I sent it going like, I forget what I went, maybe like 147 to fly at first, and then like a little faster free, and then just having to do that like over and over again. So yeah, like stuff like that, I'd say is definitely the hardest.
Where were you at the end of that set? Was Luke beating you at the end?
I don't even remember. Sure. I think so. I was probably like right under sub 200.
But that's the right way to do that set, John. We did that set a lot, and people would try and pace it. I'm like, no, you got to go all out for the first 25 on number 5. You got to keep going. Don't hold it. Otherwise, it makes sense.
Well, I don't know. There's kind of two schools of thought on this. I feel like Bob Bowman's kind of the one who always says, no, you don't want to just send it at the beginning and then make the whole thing like a lactate choke hazard. But that's what it is if you send it in the first one. Yeah, that's I was having like I was sweating over here just listening to you talk about what it's what that kind of set is like, because the end of those types of sets hurts so bad. I was just wondering if anybody's puking on the pool deck.
Yeah, so it was kind of like that, but I'd say like the sets at Cal are definitely hard because of the intensity. But I remember in club swimming, my coach at our training trip would make us do 60-50s butterfly on 50 seconds. And so we had an A interval, which was 50 seconds, a B interval, which was 55, and a C interval, which was a minute. And so when the A interval finished, the C interval would still have 12 left. So in the end, we'd end up doing 72 because we just go with the other interval just to make them feel like not left out, So that set was definitely fun. Like I'd be holding it was long course. I'd be holding like 34s the whole time. And then the last like 12 was crazy. So I just got like something else in me and everyone was cheering. So I was going like sub 30s almost. And so it was kind of crazy, like fly endurance like that,
That's fun though. I mean, I'm a bbig component of rewarding swimming with more swimming instead of punishing people with swimming. So that's kind of a fun way and a novel way to make it where it's like, hey, you get to do more. That's a good thing. The better, the faster kids are not better. Faster kids get to do more instead of like, oh, you're punished. You're going to do 6 200 flies off the block type of thing. So it's good to hear a fun way to kind of integrate that. So speaking of lactate and feeling horrible, do you know what the highest your lactate's been after one of those sets or after like a race? What levels you're at?
Um, so I'd say I haven't really gotten lactate tested after one of these sets, but at the Pro Series and I remember at the Singapore pre-Worlds camp, I got lactate tested a bunch, just like the little prick on the ear. And I remember we did this one, I think it was like 100 fly off the block and then a 250s fly pace. And so after that, I was feeling pretty dead and I got my lactate tested and it was almost 20, I think. So that was super, super rough. And I tried warming down a lot and it went down like to 10. And then I remember, I think Keenan was like, go again, like you got to warm down until it's like 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, so like 40 minutes later, I finally got it all the way down. Yeah, so about 20 is the highest.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Good old Keenan being in there for the warm down czar to make sure you get to Michael Phelps levels. That's for sure.
Exactly.
All right. Now moving on to like biomechanics and stroke technique. Who is another swimmer that you would say has the best biomechanics of an elite butterfly? This can be like current or an older swimmer that you're just like, God, their mechanics are perfect.
I'd honestly say Milak. I just love watching him swim. I think obviously like Dressel is one of the best flyers in the world, is the best flyer in the world, like he has the world record. But I think his stroke is more, it's definitely good technique, but it's more power. So I think he just has that much more muscle just to power his way through the water. But I think Milak, it's like that perfect amount of efficiency and power to work together. So I think it reminds me a little bit of myself. Like I'm not like super, super jacked. And I think I pull like just the right amount of water and have like the good hand positioning and the good kick to help propel myself. So it's definitely fun watching him. And I loved watching him break like the 2-fly world record and just continue his tear.
All right. How about on the other end of the spectrum? Who is an elite flyer? And you're like, what are they doing with that technique? Or like, how is their shoulder not popping out? Or or one of those flyers that's just like diving down so deep with every stroke. You're like, how is that working at all? Does anyone come to mind, like current or former swimmers?
Not necessarily. I mean, I always laughed when I saw Leclos like doing his little like side stroke, trying to look over, and that just cracked me up. But I feel like to be like an elite level flyer, your technique has to be pretty good. So you don't see too many people like having some whack technique swimming. So it's definitely, I don't know, I'd say Leclos is probably the funniest one.
All right, well, let's ask the historian, Mr. Luke. Anyone come to mind for you over the years of you watching swimming back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s? Anyone where you're like, God, that was such a weird technique?
We had Denis Prankatov doing his full head over and his sculling the water underneath. You know, he used to do the streamline kick underwater and skull like this with his hands.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, why didn't you? He thought it was better than streamline. You just got this.
Yeah, wait, Luke, were his hands totally apart, or did he have kind of like
totally apart? Well, I think it was
crazy.
some. I think it was something like this. Yep.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
Brian, you were not a bad flyer yourself, I would say. You know, rumor is Adare knocked you down on the 50 fly rankings. Any flyers stand out to you?
Yeah, I'm not. I got bumped down to 4th all time. Thanks, Dari. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But one thing I was thinking about is when you mentioned that you're a butterflyer, anytime that people would ask me like, oh, you're a swimmer. Okay, what events did you swim? And I'd say, oh, like 50 free, 50 fly were my best events. And they go, oh, and this, it's kind of like SoCal versus NorCal when people say, is it like the 5 or Highway 5? You know, it's like they put the before there. There's always this delineation between like an amateur swimmer and an elite swimmer where you go, oh, like I'm a butterfly. They're like, oh, I remember doing the butterfly. Like I tried the butterfly and I just thought the butterfly was so I could never get it down. So all right, what do you tell people when you tell them like, oh yeah, I'm one of the best butterflyers in the world, and they're like, oh, I've tried the butterfly once in my life, like, but I couldn't figure it out. What's the secret to the butterfly?
Or they're like, oh man, that's the hardest stroke. That's so hard.
Yeah, I've heard both those too many times. I don't know. I kind of like laugh and I try to have them explain or like show me what it looks like. So I just laugh even more when they try to put their arms up and have like the worst stroke technique. So that's about it.
It's a small gripe. Often I see it all the time. How often are you guys annoyed when you see an ad like for a company or poster, and it's obviously not a swimmer who was doing the butterfly? Like I coming out of my kids' swim team, and there's a poster of a guy doing butterfly. I'm like, that looks like somebody who swam 2 laps in his life, and it's a poster of the swim team. Can we new rule? Only real swimmers do real swimming ads and photos. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I totally feel that.
All right. Time for some pressure. Time for you to fix everyone's butterfly. Audience wants to know. Maj A __ vertical line wants to know, what's your butterfly technique number 1 tip?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say get your hip position up as high as possible. So I think that's the number 1 best thing. So I feel like as I'm either like getting to the end of a race or just flat out dying, my hips like sink way below the waterline. And it's harder to get my arms out of the water. It's harder to do the 2 kicks to propel myself forward. So that's what I love about some suits, especially Mizuno. It just pops my hips right up. And so that keeps my hips at the surface. But sometimes when I don't have that on, I have to like be conscientious to keep my hips up. And so I'll do that in practice. And I'd say like a year or 2 ago, I started wearing a drag suit. And so that I feel like it pushes my hips down even more. So I have to focus even more on pushing my hips up. So I think hips being above the water is one of the most important things.
All right. Now, Chen 12233 wants to know, how many pull-ups can you do in a row?
Oh, I'm not a big pull-up guy. I'd say we did a pull-up test. It was probably like right below 20. So I'd say like 18, 19.
18 or 19, and you're like,
That's
oh, I'm
pretty
not a
good,
big
Gary.
pull-up guy.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like no, because we have. I guess like in comparison to Cal guys, because a bunch of the Cal guys, they're like we would have Nathan. He'd pull up with the weight belt, and he'd put on like 3 plates, and then just do pull-ups with like 135 pounds, like on his waist. And we'd have just like a bunch of guys doing like 90 pounds pull up, just like repping it for 5. So I'd say compared to them, I'm not a big pull-up guy. I guess in general, maybe I'm like pretty proficient.
Hold on, I just want to clarify that I heard you correctly. Nathan Adrian can do weighted pull-ups with 135 pounds for reps.
Yes, sir.
I've seen it as well.
It'd be nuts. I remember I was there freshman year and he'd still train with us. He came in a little sophomore year, so he'd come in the weight room, just slap on 3 plates, and then he just started going up and down, up and down. I was like, oh my God, I can barely do like 1 plate. It's just kind of nuts coming in every day, seeing the talent and seeing just like the hardworking grit of everyone on the Cal swim team. It's like not only Nathan can do that, it's like some other guys too, which is crazy.
God. Goals. #goals. All right, noted. Okay, had to do a little play in your name here. This section is called Truth or Dare. But you don't get to pick. I pick. So first one is truth. Can you touch the flags with a running jump?
Oh, so I haven't done that in a while. I can. Just been a few years, so we'll see if my old man hops can still do it.
All right. And then this is the dare or dare. Do your best impression of one of your coaches.
Oh, this won't be too good. I'm gonna try to do Durden. It's kind of hard. I feel like he's so iconic. I can't really like replicate it, you know.
Icon.
Yeah, I'd say I would do it, but some of the words he says I can't say on the podcast. So
this is not a family show. You can say whatever you want.
They don't care.
I'll keep it PG. So we're always just sitting on the pool deck, and it'll be hot outside where it's tanning, and he'll say like, "Get in on the 30," and it'll be like the 30 minute mark in 10 seconds, and he's like, "Get your ass in the pool." So he starts screaming at us. I don't know. He does some other stuff, but he's just a funny guy.
All right, here's a truth. When's the last time you cheated in a set or warm up?
Ooh, I mean that's that's a funny one. Half the time we have a hot tub at Legends, and so it'll be like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. for morning practice. Everyone gets in. I'm just chilling in the hot tub till Dave comes over and starts screaming at me. It's like, come on, get in the pool, get in the pool. So I like to go in the hot tub, skip a little 200. And I'm like, the hot tub is like warming me up. Like, why do I need warm up? So yeah,
I support this effort. Hot tub is great for warm up. Warm ups for hopers, we always used to say. Shout out James White. All right. This is a dare. Sing a line from Inspired by Your Name, either Seal's Kissed by a Rose or from a Guns N' Roses song. Ooh. Any line will do.
That's a hard one. I'll probably do Guns N' Roses and know a little bit more.
Which one's it going to be? Paradise City?
He's getting the words right. He has to karaoke it. He's Googling the words.
There you go.
I would do it. Smart man.
November Rain?
Welcome to the jungle.
No, I was thinking of Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh,
Sweet Child of Mine. All right, let's do it.
She's got a smile that it seems to me. There you go. One line.
Nice. You got it. Yeah.
Man, I was trying to sing the whole song. I was getting ready to pull a lighter out and just vibe out to the Dari Rose narrative. Sweet Child of Mine.
There you go. Yeah.
I love it.
Singing's not my forte. I gotta say that.
I love it. All right. Okay, enough truth or dare. Let's move on just to finish with some rapid fire here, and then we'll let you go. What's the hardest race in swimming?
Oh, I'd say 4 a.m.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
Yeah.
Have you ever cried in practice?
Yes.
Do you remember when and what did you cry?
A few days ago. No, I'm kidding.
Get your ass in the pool.
Exactly. No, I remember we were swimming outdoors. This was when I was in high school. And so my coach, what do you call it? Oh, so he had us in for practice, and there was a huge thunderstorm, but we also had an airport right next door. And so my coach was just joking. He'd be like, oh, like you hear that? Like the thunder is just the plane noises, it's just the engines. And so I'd be like kicking on my back, just like looking up at the sky, and you just see like the lightning bolts come down. I was like, oh God, you got to let us out. I'm about to start crying. So moments like that. And then there's just been hard sets too, like the 7250s fly. Shed a little tear at the end.
Oh, yeah.
A little tear. I thought it was the reward to do those extra 50s, and now you said it made you cry.
I guess afterwards, a little tear shed. So my body would just be so wrecked.
All right, we'll take that. Okay, what's the slowest reaction time, like relay takeoff, that you wouldn't be embarrassed about?
Ooh, so I think I have a pretty slow reaction. Like I remember at Worlds. I mean, this was a prelims relay, so I was proud of it. So I didn't want to get us deked, but I would think I was like half a second on the reaction time.
0.5 when you were okay?
Yeah, 0.5. No, I wasn't okay with it. I mean, I thought it was good because it was prelims. I'm not trying to DQ like the US relay, at my first Worlds. So I was fine with it. But I'd say like 0.2, 0.3 is reasonable.
All right. Still slower than I was expecting to hear, but respect. All right. Who's the if you could change one rule in swimming, what would it be?
I'd say the 15-meter rule. So I love underwaters. I feel like it'd be fun on fly, just going like half the pool length and then just start swimming. So I think
half a long course pool.
25 meters underwater. So I say short course, it's necessary. So I think turns are a little overpowered.
Speaking of underwaters, who's the fastest underwater kicker you've ever seen?
I'd say Tom Shields. He's pretty nuts. We'd race sometimes and he'd like put a whole half body length and a 25 on me.
We did ask Tom Shields who the fastest underwater kicker of all time was, and he emphatically
himself
said.
That's too good.
So Tom would agree. All right, let's switch back to long course. How long until we see a 48 long course meter 100 butterfly?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, the way the world's progressing, I think it should be a couple years. Like
Yeah.
probably like I'd say like before 2028 or at 2028.
Wow.
Okay. Shout out to audience member Elk S Swim. Favorite pre-race song? What's your go-to pre-race song?
Oh, so I have a bunch. I'd say there's one song. It's called "South to West" by Gunna. It's like a little 2-minute song, but it gets me going. You know, it gets me to a good place.
All right.
Yeah.
The last one here for us, so finish it up, is how often do you do social kick?
I'd say pretty much every day.
Nice.
We love it here at Cal. Yeah, we usually have like a little warm up. We'll have like 200 soch or 100 soch. The days we don't have it, we're like, come on, give us our kick.
I love how every single thing is abbreviated to one. We're gonna abbreviate social kick to soch. Just gonna do it soch. Well, this has been a nice.
Yeah.
We've had a great soch with you, Dari. So thanks for hanging out with us. And yeah, man, we're looking forward to continuing to watch you dominate on this absurd trajectory you're on. Keep doing what you're doing. It's clearly working.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Awesome. That's it for this episode of Soch. We'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment. And subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick. And you can find all of our content on our website,